Now before you just run off to the lake, you gotta have the right equipment to get the job done. It may be intimidating at first because of all your options, but it doesn't take much to catch that first fish.
Alright, now we're going to go over the equipment that you need to go fishing with. Two basic, most important things you need is the rod and reel. We're going to show you two of them. The first one is the spin cast. Probably one of the most simple rod and reel combos that's out there. Really easy to cast, easy to reel in, easy to use. It's a really good beginner rod. The second one we're going to show you is a bait cast. It's a little more complicated. Casting's a little bit harder. Retrieving's the same way. All you got to do is reel. What you use for uses, it's pretty much you can use each for anything. Doesn't matter. There's a few, most of them, they're the same in many ways, but there's a few minor differences that you have to take into effect when you're buying a rod, and that's the rod. On a spin cast, the guides are facing down, which is these. The guides are just what the line, it guides the line up through the pole. And right here, as you can see, there's no trigger right here, so your leverage is all right there. On a bait cast, you don't have that, so you have the trigger. What you do is you just put your fingers right there. That way you got something to hold on to. There's leverage in the cast.
Now we're going to be showing you how to cast each one of these rods and reels. To cast the spin cast reel, first what you want to do is you want to take the bail, which is this metal piece around here. You want to pull it up and grab the line with your hand. Then when you grab the line with your hand, you want to bring it back like you're going to cast. Cast it out, let go of the line. When it touches the water, off the bail. You've successfully cast it.
Alright, so when you're casting this, it's a little bit different than the spin cast. You don't have a bail, you have a button. The button on the reel, all you do is click it down and it releases the line. But when you click it down, make sure your thumb is on the line, because if not, it's going to freeze pull and it's going to bird's nest. Alright, so when you're casting, it's the same thing as a spin cast, alright? You just bring it back, you just release it. Now when you release it, make sure you keep your thumb on the line. That way when it hits the water, your thumb's already there to stop the line. Because if that line doesn't stop, it's gonna bird's nest, you're gonna have all kinds of knots and problems. But once it hits the water, just flick that over, tighten the button back up, and just start fishing, no problem. Alright, now that you know the basic fundamentals about casting, you now can catch fish. But usually when you go fishing, you're after a certain species, and certain species like certain lures. And what you really want to do is grab the lure on what they're eating. So if they're eating fish, grab a lure that looks like a fish. If they're eating worms, grab a lure that looks like a worm, grab a worm. What you're mostly going to be fishing, especially around like this area right here, at the reservoir, Holloway, and bass, pike, bluegill, crappie, you know. What you really want to use for bass and pike are, crankbaits. They look like fish. It's what they eat. Cast them, you can troll with them, you can do whatever. Or a larger size jig, which could look anywhere up between fish to crayfish or anything. Now if you're going to fish smaller panfish like bluegill, crappie, perch, you're going to either want a smaller jig or a really, really, really small size crankbait. And we have a few examples over here of what you might be using. This here is a crankbait. Like I said, you're probably going to be using this for bass and pike. It's made for trolling, casting, it really don't matter. The lip on it, the size of the lip controls the depth it goes. Right here, this is an example of a jig. It's just a finesse plastic minnow with a jig head on it. For vertical fishing on a river to just casting. Right here we got a bass jig, which as you can tell is most likely made for bass. So what you do is you just put like a plastic crayfish on it and just toss it in weeds, lily pads, and just kind of make it hop around the bottom like that. For smaller size panfish, you can use anything from a very small hook to a worm. Like I said, small jigs. And if you follow that, you'll be able to catch any fish you need. Alright, now that you've picked your lure, you need to know how to keep fish's attention with it, which could be anything from how fast you retrieve the lure to how slow you retrieve the lure. By that I mean, like,
know the basics on catching your first fish, it's time to go to the lake and put your skills to the test.
And remember, practice makes perfect. With practice and patience, you'll easily be able to catch that first fish.
Thank you for watching our show and tune in next time.